G'day everyone, you're listening to the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton and I'm joined by my Risky Rollers co-host Locky.
Yeah, what's up everybody? Wow, wow, wow.
And we're also joined by Adam, who organised the recent Geelong Heresy tournament we went to and is quite involved in the Victorian tournament scene.
What up?
Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I've been gaming for a couple of decades, TOing for 3/4 of that. Heresy being sort of the big one on my records. Other than that, yeah, just enjoy rolling dice, having a couple of bevos with my mates, and having a good time with the old 40Ks.
Yeah, nice. So we're going to be talking to Adam today a bit about tournament organising and the scene in Victoria and a few different things related to that. Before we get too far into that, just a couple of quick ones to mention. If you're not already, make sure to jump down into our Discord where you can chat with us, chat with Adam, you can hang out, show off your hobby, and just generally have a great time there. We've got a great community that's expanded hugely in the last couple of weeks. It's fantastic seeing so many new people coming in.
Yeah, it's massive now. Like, okay, it's not, but like, it's not like 1,000 members or anything. But it's really grown to be this really awesome cohesive community that is really becoming something really cool. Something that we're running at the moment, which was actually started by one of our members randomly, is basically a I guess like a hobby track system, right?
Oh yeah. So there's a whole bunch of different names for this kind of thing. In War Machine, it was called the Journeyman League, which is the name I've most familiar with. But it's a tale of wargamers, usually
that's it.
a tale
That's
of
what
four gamers.
Tale of wargamers. That's it.
Well, the Tale of Four Wargamers is what White Dwarf has called it for years.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if that's where the name came from, but that's where I know that name from. But it's like a Journeyman League, a slow grow campaign, any of that kind of stuff.
And it's basically just something to help people paint models. Period. I guess.
Yeah. So big shout out to who was that one? That was Hammer Jay.
Yeah.
Big shout out to him for organising that. I love that kind of thing.
So basically every month we kind of designate a certain number of points or models or whatever they think we might get done, and then we use our other like work in progress channels to show how we're progressing through those, and then when you finish it you put it in the showcase channel, and then at the end of every month you kind of come back kind of like a stand up and digress and what you did and didn't get done, and I think it just helps people become a little bit more accountable for their piles of shame, and it works. I mean, I definitely know the stand up system works, so it's just really cool to see people that are part of the group coming and doing that on their own, rather than facilitating by myself or Dalton or one of the core group. You know what I mean? It's just a really cool place to be at the moment. I'm loving it.
Yeah, so jump on down in there. It's all free. You don't need to be a patron member to enter or anything like that. You can jump in, hang out with us.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm already pretty excited about that, boys. I've got a nice collection of Craft World Eldar that could probably use a lick of paint, and I'm talking about a collection of models that are all from 1994 or earlier.
Good lord! So these models are older than I am.
Yes, we're talking a vintage Eldar army. I'm going to get them painted up for 9th Ed. Goblin green bases, baby.
Oh, yes.
I've got a pot of Goblin green sitting here as well.
And that really trash flock. You remember that really trash flock that they just put?
Trashiest flock.
Yeah. The sand that they painted Goblin green as well.
Sunburst yellow highlights. Yeah, boys, we're going hard, 2nd Ed style. I'm gonna bring that game to a few 9th Ed tournaments and turn some heads. So this hobby project is perfect for that.
Awesome. That's epic. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be mad.
Yeah. All right, hold me to it, boys. Hold me to it.
Oh, you will. Don't worry. 100%. Don't worry. Yeah. I'm gonna call you out like every month now. Be like, where's your Eldar Smithy? Where is it? What's going on?
What have I done?
So jump down in Discord, check that one out. While you're down there, you can. What else we got? We've got Instagram and stuff down there as well. If you want to follow along with what we're doing, it's been a bit quiet the last couple of weeks.
Oh, Christmas. It happens.
Over Christmas, but actually, by the time this comes out, we'll be going hard on that with all of our Necron and Death Guard Christmas Battle Force stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We're recording this a little in advance, so I've only been building them so far, but we'll be painting up all of those, so check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to support us, you can join our Patreon. You get early access to Bat Reps, exclusive narrative campaign that's coming out on Patreon. as well as voting on what's coming. You get T-shirts, all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Now, Adam, have you got? Do you want to plug your Adrah Labs or?
Yeah, I can do a little bit of plug about that. So, I guess just for my own personal interest, got into the old 3D printing, and found out that I had a lot of friends who wanted some help with that as well. I, in my, professional life, tend to optimize high tech equipment, so it didn't sort of fall too far from the tree for me to get into this sort of hobby. Adrah Labs, ADRAH labs.com.au. We do a print on demand service, so if you've got the files, we'll print them. So don't feel like we're limited to the range that we have in our web store. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, our web store is focusing on 10mm scale high fantasy miniatures suitable for Warmaster.
Yeah.
Another game from way back.
So War Master is like epic, but for fantasy.
It's epic for fantasy. It's so if you miss the square bases of the older editions of Warhammer Fantasy, then this is the game for you. It's big regiments, little dudes, and big war machines, big dragons and giants. The models are ace. We've got terrain as well on the store. So it's something we've been missing for the better part of 15 years, because of course the original models became out of production, but now 3D printing has brought the hobby back, and if I might say, on a 40k podcast, Warmaster is one of the most enjoyable game systems I've played. So don't take it personally, boys. I also enjoy my Ks, but Warmaster is amazing. Just saying.
It's not just 40k here, mate. It's everything. So when it's not a 40k podcast, it's an everything podcast. So
yeah,
go nuts.
Square
go
bases.
nuts.
When you
4,500 points of square base Tomb Kings behind me, so we're all about square bases.
I'll have you boys doing some Warmaster podcasting before you know it, because this game it's ready to come back in a big way. 3D printing's really sort of opened the floodgates. So check
really
it out,
keen.
boys.
So you actually handed out some sample packs at Geelong Heresy of little miniatures you printed for it.
Yep.
And I'm looking right now at my favourite one out of the pack, which is a little goblin holding a banner that's like a half moon thing.
Yes.
Because it reminds me of the Battle for Skull Pass 3rd edition Warhammer Fantasy starter set. Was it 3rd edition? I think so. Or in 4th. Which had goblins and dwarfs in it.
Because the 3rd edition one was the High Elves and someone else, or High Elves and Dark Elves one, or whatever. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. So it might have been 4th then.
Yeah.
But they had a little goblin banner bearer that I've got the miniature for around somewhere. It was basically this model with the half moon.
I got to say, that's one of the ones from one of our sculptors called Red Nebula. You can check her work out online. She has a whole range of forest goblins and little spider riders. When you're talking like 10mm scale, little dudes riding little spiders.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's just and the models are an absolute dream to paint. I've been quite blessed to have her join my portfolio. We've got to get her stuff on the web store soon, but those forest goblins, mate, they've got so much character. It is really sort of tapping into that old school square base aesthetic, and we love it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm definitely keen to get involved. So if that sounds like it's anything that you guys are interested in, make sure to check out Adrah Labs. Link will be in the description.
Thanks, boys.
But yeah. So we've mentioned it a couple of times. Geelong Heresy was a tournament that we went to. We did a couple of podcasts on that one. And so this is the one that you run. This is your baby.
It's my it's my oldest child. It turns 11 this year, so no 12. It'll turn 12 this year in November. So
nice. Oh yeah, we can say this year now. Oh man, it's gonna take so much getting used to.
Welcome to 2022, boys.
That's it. Bang. Yep. Yeah. So how did it all begin? Was it just you? Is it something that you wanted to do from the very beginning? Was there a hole in the industry at the time?
Yes. It was it was a sentimental notion to get this whole event started. I enjoy playing 40k. I also enjoy having a cheeky beer whilst doing so. And so there's been a long history within my circle of friends of what we call beer hammer. So it's Warhammer and beer, perfectly aligned in synchronicity. And
Yep.
back in the day, we're talking back in 4th edition. You can count back the years yourself. We're talking about 12 years ago. A lot of the tournaments were smaller events. They were at like scout halls and different little clubs like that weren't licensed. They were, it was very much you go there, you maybe have a couple of cans of Coke and a dim sim for lunch, whatever. And that was good. That was fine. And I went to a lot of those tournaments and enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed the tournament experience, meeting new friends, etc. But there was still that one thing missing, and that was to have an event where I could go roll some dice and also put away a couple of beers in the process. And this is where my dear friend Rob, who has since moved away from the hobby, and myself, we started Geelong Heresy together. And we actually started at an actual nightclub. We rented out the dance floor and were able to fit 20 tables in there. So we started off as a 40-player event, and then
that was your first event, 40 players.
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Well, we were, I guess, tapping into a market that wasn't like no one was doing beer hammer.
Yeah, right. Really,
Yeah.
I find that so interesting because I always just assumed, because I was the same. Like when I got back into it, it was just beers at home playing 40k, and then because our local club is at a bowls club, and it's the same. There's still beers and that there. I just assumed that was just the standard. Like you just. Not that everyone drank and played Warhammer. I just mean more in terms of that it was available. Like that it was that was kind of the consensus that at tournaments you would have an availability to drink. Like
it was the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so a lot of them were at like they might be at like a indoor indoor tennis center or an indoor soccer club, or a lot of like places where they had a lot of space, but they weren't necessarily licensed. That was what was kind of, and like school halls and scout halls. That's what was kind of the general venue flavor for that time, for that era. And we were pretty new to bringing a licensed venue into the mix, and and with it came all sorts of interesting asides. So as you would be very familiar with, Locky, we have our Shenanigans Award.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Look, I'll tell
Never
you about
heard
it.
of such thing.
I'll tell you about it one day, mate. You'll get to know it in time. But
Well,
needless to say, from the very first year, we found that the event, through bringing that more, I guess, kind of fun, casual, loose approach to the gaming event, allowed for more interesting out-of-game situations to occur. Usually on the Saturday night, people would continue to go out and get up to mischief, and that was all. I guess that sort of helped to cement our reputation in the Victorian gaming scene, because year on year we would have these amazing things happen where people would take advantage of our event and make the most of it, and sometimes funny things occurred because of it. So
that's what you want. I mean, It sounds like it was like the first real, like adult approach to the game, I guess. Adult in quotations, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. We weren't allowed to have anyone under the age of 18 unless they were supervised. So we had a couple of situations where it was like a dad and son would come along, which was awesome. Like, it was great to have the younger fellas join us. But yeah, it was very much an event tailored to adult gamers, which I guess isn't so ridiculous to say today, but back then, I don't know.
Might have been.
Mate, like we talk about, video games as well. There was an era 15 years ago where people thought that was for kids. And how we've all sort of learnt and grown up from that. So yeah, I think the tournament scene needed to shift and have more events available for a more senior audience. And so we weren't the first to do it. I mean, I can certainly say Terracon were there before we were on that side of things. That's a madhouse. Definitely recommend if you ever go to South Australia for Terracon. Highly recommend it. But yeah, for Victoria, I don't know if there was much before we did this, but yeah, since then it's become more of a sort of a commonplace thing to to have licensed tournaments, which is great. It's great for me because they're the events I want to go to.
Yeah, likewise.
Amen. Amen to that.
So was the format like always what it is? Like that's not unchanged. Has there been any iterations of the structure? And like, I mean, it kind of sounds. This might be a bit of a moot question because you might have sort of answered it in and of itself. But because it being this idea of this sort of free flowing, casual sort of more, I guess, idea, has that or did that directly affect the structure of the tournament itself, i.e. being 3,000 points and yada, 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 and the custom detachments and those kinds of things?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good question. What you boys got to experience in November was the first of its kind.
All right.
But
Okay.
every year is the first of its kind. And we find ourselves, and we're talking we're spanning across 5 editions of 40k here.
Yeah.
And every edition has brought new changes, and a lot of people have a lot of discomfort with new changes, especially in a competitive space. There's a lot of event organisers who have been wary and reluctant to embrace change and to be open to new, interesting sort of things. So, once upon a time, composition is what I'm talking about here. So, composition scores were a way for you to have your army handicapped based on the power of your list. This is an old concept. I don't know if you guys have covered this in another topic, another podcast, but once upon a time, that was very much the done thing. Every event was a comp event. So if you were going to bring a really powerful army, then you would have your battle scores handicapped to somehow mitigate that. Trying to school the system, I suppose. We were one of the first to do away with that. We saw no need for composition. Basically, if you're an adult, you know how to play nice. You want to go have fun for a weekend, then you bring the list you want to bring. So that
I know Locky's definitely got some strong feelings about comp events.
Comp's fucking retarded. Like it's like it just doesn't make any sense. Like call it an event and have a comp, fine. Don't call it a tournament because it's not a tournament. Like if you're changing how the game should be played based on what you think is better, well then you're just changing the goalposts. And it's like what's the fucking point?
Exactly, it's a shifting of the goalposts, and we just felt it got to a point where it was becoming so mathematical and so deep, and it wasn't really having a big outcome on who was winning and losing events because people would school the system.
Yeah.
It
gives you more opportunity to school it, right, when you have more parameters like that, right? Because you can find the holes, because it's not like they're hole proof.
Yeah.
They're trying to hole proof a hole. It's just doubling down on the flaws.
Exactly. So that was, that we were like, you know what, just bring what you want. Just how to play nice. You learn, you do it yourself. We were the first to permit flyers when they became a thing. People became really upset because hitting on a 6 against a flyer was just it's impossible. What a ridiculous unit to bring to a game. Like, I don't care. It's in the codex. Bring a flyer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're penalised for playing the game that you guys didn't design or have any influence involved in. Like, how is that the TO's problem, or how is that your competitor's fault? Like, it's so dumb.
This was the time where the TOs were taking it upon themselves to try and make the game competitive.
To fix it.
I was at the same time taking it upon myself to just give people a weekend they were going to enjoy. So
So is this 6th or 7th edition? Yeah.
Oh,
Mainly.
as look,
Sixth was flyers and super heavies.
it spans across all. So we were the first to include super heavies. We were the first to include Forge World.
That was a much bigger thing in the past. Yeah, Forge World. There were some GW stores that wouldn't let you use Forge World models in store.
Yeah.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, no
because
joke.
Because they didn't stock them. Because they
Oh
had
my
to stock them because they're sold separately. So like, no, we can't have them in store.
That is so stupid. Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah,
It really goes with the times though, too. It just seems like I don't know. Maybe this isn't true, but I feel nowadays because of how widespread the internet is, there's such an element of like, why can't we all just like everyone love everyone and everyone get along to a degree? Obviously, I know the internet's not like that, but compared to say 10 years ago, I feel like there's a lot more
It's a lot
ease.
more open.
Yeah, it's a lot more. Yeah, and it's a lot more ease of that actually happening, and people kind of being a bit more understanding of situations in general, which is therefore I think reflected that people would be open minded about these kinds of things.
Oh, without
Such a
doubt.
shame that it wasn't like that though.
No, it doesn't change. Every edition brings new naysayers. The most extreme of which tend to walk away, but then you get new people come in. It's the ebb and flow. It's just part of the hobby. I've managed to sort of carry myself through all these editions and still have a great time because I don't let myself get bogged down by all that stuff. It's just it's not not that important to me, and I feel better off for it. I'm still having a great time. I love pitching my Necrons. I played my Necrons gloriously through all of 7th ed, and or 8th ed, I should say. Amazingly through 7th ed, but I played them through 8th ed as well, and I don't think anyone needs to say anything more about that with regards to the competitive stance of Necrons.
Yep.
I know you're
Were
on.
they like the worst?
Well, Dalton, you can speak on my behalf, mate.
Yeah, so 7th Necrons were ridiculous.
Like good.
They you could bring a, I forget what it was called. It was a certain
The Decurion.
formation. Yeah, and it was just like the funniest thing was that GW sold it as like a pack on the website. You could purchase this formation of Necrons, and it was like how many warrior units was it?
I think you had
the whole thing was like just warriors and like a monolith.
You needed 3 minimum warrior units, I think, for the Decurion, but you had minimums of a lot of different things. So it kind of really dialed down what your list looked like. But end of the day, everyone got a 4+ reanimate roll.
Yeah,
which
and it was
so it's just like unkillable. Yeah,
it was 4+. Look, it was a 4+ feel no pain roll. It wasn't like the new reanimation. It was old school.
Reanimation at the time was a feel no pain. It was
oh
4+,
right,
yeah.
And there were ways you could get to like re-roll it and do weird stuff like that.
You could re-roll ones. Yeah, so I had a Death Star of characters and Lich Guard with shields. And I worked out that on average it would take 300 guardsmen using 1st rank, 2nd rank at half range to cause 1 wound on 1 model in that unit.
What? What the hell?
So,
Games Workshop's brilliant game design at its finest, purely just to sell models.
Yeah, boy, that's 7th ed.
They sold them.
Of course they would.
They sold formations in boxes. So like, pay us $3,000, and here's the entire Necron formation.
You don't think giving Bellastari core was a ploy to sell models?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Without a doubt. But yeah, so 8th was it was a dark time for Necrons, but I continued to enjoy them and embrace them.
So in 8th, they weren't great. I don't think they were too terrible in 8th. They weren't like bottom tier, but they were low tier.
Yeah, but if you didn't have any Doomsday Arcs or Heavy Destroyers, so big change from 7th to 8th with Necrons was they used to be able to reliably take out vehicles with their Gauss weapons.
Yeah, of course, because we moved from hull points where you could glance them on 6s.
Yeah, because normal warriors could do it, right?
That's exactly right.
I have one of my favorite Necron stories is it was like the last 3 or 4 Necron warriors in the unit glancing a Storm Raven to death in 1 turn of shooting.
Yeah. That's
it was. I rolled really well, but it was hilarious.
My 20, because I've got 270 warriors just to put it in the books.
Nice.
Yeah, and having those numbers of warriors unleashing at half range
Yep.
with Mefrit stats, yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. And then 8th Ed came, and
Yep.
basically I couldn't put a chip on the paint job of a Land Raider. And
because the whole everything can wound everything meant that gas weapons were no longer special. They no longer had the thing.
exactly. So you basically...
Which is what they've been trending to for a while. Because they started in 3rd edition with you would roll 2d6 for armor pen. So your single Necron warrior could penetrate and blow up a Land Raider in one shot.
Yep. I watched my own Chaos Dreadnought get destroyed by a fucking Necron warrior in 3rd edition.
Yeah,
fucking
boy.
dumb. And they're like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm like,
That's what
table
they do.
flipped. I'm like, it's fucking retarded. But
Yeah,
like,
it moved from that to when they introduced hull points, and you could auto glance on a 6. So it meant that you wouldn't be able to destroy it in one shot, but you could just knock off.
Well, 3 glancing
before
hits would kill a model, so...
Yep, 4 would kill a Land Raider or Storm Raven, 3 would kill almost anything else. I think Rhinos and stuff or Dreadnoughts were like 2 hull points.
Sentinels definitely 2.
Sentinels were 2.
And then you had your Knights were like 6, I believe, from memory.
Yeah.
See,
Knights
the
were a
system...
massive change.
The system isn't bad. It's just, you just shouldn't have an infantry person that can do that. Like, that's whole structure still... Anyway, don't want to get talking about how that system is so much better than the current way vehicles work.
Look, I would say, to cut it short, you boys should bring me back to have a talk about what Necrons should be like in 9th Ed based on their fluff.
So is that pretty much just going to be like Tyranids versus Necrons, right? That's just the argument forever.
Oh no, I'm talking about like proper Necron warrior stats based on what they're like in the fluff.
Yeah, they should be insane.
Custody level.
Yeah. But I mean,
like
even all their other
fluff-wise,
weapons as well, like the what's the Sentinel? The Sentinel weapon, which is like puts you in a dimension. It's a dimensional weapon.
The exile cannon. Yeah. Or the monolith has a similar thing.
It's
the Eternity Gate, which is like
Oh man.
Do you remember 5th edition Royal Courts where you could tool up your overlords and stuff with all the fun stuff?
I sure do.
I miss the Royal Courts.
Good times. Good times indeed. So yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon, boys? Should we make that a follow-up cast at some point?
100%.
Sure, 100%.
We'll schedule it in.
We'll just do a Necron fluff episode. And I can just rag on you guys while you guys gush.
Just Necron loved us. Me and Dalton will just have a good little chitty chat.
That's it.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Love it.
So we'll move back to tournaments in a moment. Before we do, we'll just have a quick word from our sponsor, Tim at Dice Arcade.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands of miniatures and wargaming, free postage over $250.
All right, thanks for that one, Tim. We'll actually, the week after this one goes out, we'll be... the week this does go out, we're actually, Locky and I are going to be in Sydney at Super Space Lasers, the Dice Arcade event.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this will be on... This is coming out Saturday morning. The event's on Sunday, so tomorrow. So if you want to jump over onto Instagram, you'll be able to see us participating there and having a grand old time.
Yes, and that will be super cool. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, so tournaments wise, you've TO'd Geelong Heresy and you've been involved in the community a bit.
Yep.
What's it like being a TO? What have you learned, perhaps, or you got stuff you want to pass on with it?
I think first thing that you realise when you start getting into the tournament scene, I started off playing at events. I won't lie, and everyone wants to play, no one wants to run. That seems to be the general consensus, and this is. Yet again, I've heard this over the last, sort of 10 plus years. So has that been consistent? Just quickly, sorry. Do you feel that that's been consistent over the last 10 years, or like that's a bit more recent than, say, within the last 5 or whatever? No, that's been very consistent, and
right.
what we're seeing at the moment. So I guess to bring the listeners up to speed, there has been and I'm not going to go and point the finger at TOs in particular. I think we have a lot to say about the the global situation, pandemic, etc. But the tournament scene in Victoria has taken a huge hit recently. We just haven't had. It's not that there aren't willing players. There's a lot of people out there who want to go to events, but there hasn't been the same number of events in the calendar that there have been in the past. And I'm not going to begrudge any of my old TO colleagues for having walked away from the responsibility. I don't think that is unfair at all. We all find ourselves in situations where we start to have families and careers and travel and life. Things happen.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just in the immediate situation we're in right now, we are experiencing a bit of an imbalance between people who are running events and people who want to go to events, and that's probably. There's always been more people wanting to go, but it's been more exacerbated recently for various reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it's something that obviously COVID's had a hand in just putting sort of a pressing pause on the whole event scene for a couple of years.
Yeah, we've really kind of we've been holding the torch up in regional Victoria. I want to
Yeah, even Ballarat and that as well. They have heaps out there.
Yeah,
huge shout out to Michael Hamilton, Lachlan Morrison, the Ratcon boys. I want to make sure that anyone listening to this checks those boys out. The Ballarat events are fantastic. They go for a bit more of a competitive skew to what I do. But
do they have like a Facebook page that we can put down in the description?
Yes, they do.
Ratcon does.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah. Look up the Ratcon Facebook group, and they'll advertise all their events there. Highly recommend it. The Ballarat boys, they put on a really good show, and yet again, they've given me a chance to go to the event that I run, the event that I want to go to. So nice casual beer hammer, good times, bit more of a competitive skew, but yeah, you can really get in there and have a good time. And then we've also had the Target Acquired boys in Geelong have really been kind of helping out with that, and there's also been a couple of lads down at in Point Ferry who have also been doing some tournaments as well. So yeah, that's kind of. I think that's been the Victorian tournament scene for the last couple of years. Has really been the regional boys keeping it aloft. But there's there's an opportunity now. We've got I guess a place for others to step up to the plate if they are so willing.
And if you did have to, I mean, because if you didn't know, listeners out there, we're running our event at the end of this month, and
40K is the way.
Yep, and we've asked you, Smithy, a lot about bits and pieces since attending your event, and plans of stuff for the future and all these bits and pieces. And I can't understand why, and we were talking about this before, just off recording, of why do people not want to be event runners and stuff. And I think I can't wait to run as many events as possible. Target. I mean, look, haven't run one yet, so you're probably gonna be like, oh yeah, that's like whatever, until he actually runs one, and then you'll be like, fuck that, it's crazy. But especially after seeing what the Target Acquired boys were doing, which is great, basically trying to build a cohesive calendar for everyone so everyone can see whose events on where, and so you're not getting mismatches and stuff. I think that's really great, inclusive activity for the whole community. But looking at that and only seeing so far, and this was before the start of the year, only I think it was only 9 or whatever, or 10 events, and it's just kind of a bit shattering when you hear all over the world that there's so many more that are happening, weekly, and it just makes me think that, what are the things that, from your opinion, do you reckon that you can you bestow any words of wisdom for people who might want to start or cross that bridge into becoming a TO or running an event, whether it be small or large or whatever?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I think it's a really really good question, Lockie. There, look, I'm not going to say there aren't pressures with running a tournament. That it all comes part and parcel with running any kind of event. But the rewards seriously outweigh it. And if you haven't run an event already, you would know all the trepidation, you would know all the anxiety and all the concern that comes with successfully managing, herding cats, as I like to say. But you don't have the appreciation of what comes out the other end. We've all been to tournaments. We've all, at least I'm hoping. If you haven't been to tournaments, guys, go to tournaments. Anyone listening? Find out who
They're great fun.
they'd better be.
Yeah.
They'd better be bloody going. If you're not going to tournaments, go. Even if you're not a competitive player, go and make friends, see new armies, be involved in the community, and you won't look back. It's the most beautiful, engaging, friendly, warm, wonderful family that you'll ever have in your life. First
It's
and
kind of
foremost.
like how you feel that the game was sort of supposed to be designed for, right? Like, it just fits that mold so well of that kind of what you've built with Geelong Heresy, of that like social beer hammer style, like the game in itself. I think
Yeah.
maybe tabletop in general, but also 40k just seems to fit so well in that, I guess, mold.
Oh, without a doubt. Whether you've got a beer in your hand or a cup of tea, whatever, you're bringing people together. You're across the table from a fellow enthusiast. You've both committed time, effort, love, dedication into painting your armies, and you're showcasing it whilst getting involved in a board game. I mean, what more could you want? It's a divine experience, and you wonder why I've been sticking in the hobby for so many years. I'm in love. I'm besotted.
So do you reckon if it wasn't for tournaments that you probably wouldn't have stuck around for so long?
I would argue yes. I think that is a fair. I've never thought of it that way, Lockie, but I think that is a fair assessment. The tournament scene has introduced me to so many people of like-mindedness, people who share the same passion for the hobby. Like I've got. If you look at my Facebook, if anyone had me on Facebook, my newsfeed is basically a barren desert. But the activity I have in all these private Warhammer groups it's rapid fire. It's insane. I've just got so much social context within the wargaming community exclusively, because I've connected with people who I genuinely like being around and enjoy the company of through tournaments. It's
That's sick.
I know, not to get soppy on you boys. I'm sorry, but that's the tournament life, and I've been enjoying this for so many years, and I wouldn't go back. I would not change it for a thing. And
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
yeah, and so for any of you out there who have not had the chance to meet people, get out there and enjoy tournament life, you're missing out, boys. Just get into it, boys and girls, and everyone in between. Get into that shit. It's amazing.
Yeah, agreed. Can definitely speak to that as well. We can't wait to attend as many as possible and help building that community and help people to be part of it as well and help it grow.
Yeah, and this
So yeah,
this is a big, like, for people who aren't currently running an event. Every event that you run is an event that other people who run events can go to.
yeah.
We're all actively trying to make this community a better place. If you want to be involved in that process, you're not alone. You can meet up with us. You can reach out to us, and we are going to be there to support you in running your own tournament. I think that's a big point I want to get across. You're not, like, it's hard when
you don't have to do it alone, sort of thing.
Exactly. It's hard when you've not run an event before to know what you're doing and where you're going to. Logistics, big part of it, like get tables, terrain, all that. There are other people out there who can help you with that. And you just need to make sure that you reach out to other tournament organisers, let them know you want to try and be involved, and we're all nice guys. We're all there to help out. We all want to make a bigger, healthier tournament calendar. having your event involved in that is only going to help us all. It's given us another event that we can go to and also get our chance to enjoy being at a tournament rather than running one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never even thought about that whole concept. You know, like, oh yeah, you can't be in two places at once.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. And this, so there's been 2 years over the last 11 that we have not run Geelong Heresy. One of them was 2020 because of COVID.
Mhm.
And then the one previous to that was a year that I was hoping to just take a break.
Yeah.
And just go to events. And I think that's telling, for an event that's run for so long, that's the only time that it hasn't been sort of passionately helmed by myself as a tournament organizer. I hope that sort of speaks to anyone who hasn't run one yet. It's actually an enjoyable experience. Even if you don't get to play the games, it's amazing to see it all unfold and watch everyone have a great time.
Being able to facilitate that many people coming and having a great time and enjoying the game. I'm definitely excited to be running them as well.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you boys do a great job. I just feel bad I didn't get to sign up in time for yours because you had a bit of a tidal wave of registrations there, boys.
Yeah. It was pretty overwhelming to be honest. I mean, Smithy, you and I were talking previously, and you were saying that you have this little bit of anxiety when kind of starting your own event, and I did it too. Like Dalton and I, we didn't actually even talk about this, but I was like, you know what, we're going to put this out, and we're just going to get like a couple of the people that we know,
and that's it.
that are guaranteed that we already know them, and then we're just going to be like, there's going to be 2 weeks or a week before, and we're going to be like, hey, there's still spots, guys. It's the same thing. It's like, you're always worried about having a birthday party and no one's going to come, right? Like, it's the same thing. It's just that fear that's just ingrained in you. I don't know from where, but and it was so awesome and positive and really nice. I don't know other adjectives to have pretty much all our spots done in like a week. And then people still being like, "Oh, can I be part of the wait list? Oh, I know you're full, but can I be part of the wait list?" Like, yeah, and it's annoying because when we did all the logistics for it, I was like, the venue was like, "It can't be any." You're like, "Is it going to be any more? Is it going to be any more?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, because if you need to, you got to let us give us some notice. We can increase the capacity." I'm like, "No." And then we went through this. I'm like, "We won't need it, man." I'm like, "We'll only just fill it." And I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could say yes now." Let's do 30 first one. But like, no.
No.
Yeah, so,
look,
yeah,
I'm feeling your pain, boys, because we've recently shifted venue from we had a ballroom we could fit 80 players in. And I'm now at a situation where I think we can probably max out at maybe 60, 70 tops. If we're talking about real
that's at the same venue, yeah, that you had last year.
Yeah, so where you guys got to enjoy Geelong Heresy, that was the first time we were at that venue.
Yeah, right.
We had for the last 8 years been running at a Polish social club. Out near the Geelong racecourse, and it was good. It was good, but we had some venue TO sort of situations occurred, and we had to find a different place. I think it was actually for the better because whilst we can't fit as many people into the venue we have now, I'll let you guys speak for the venue. What were your thoughts?
Oh, but we went flat stick on this on our previous podcast about the whole weekend.
Yeah,
we were just like, it was so awesome.
It was fantastic. The venue was good. There's plenty of space. The staff in the kitchen were fantastic. You had upstairs was good. Maybe you could do with a few more fans.
Yeah.
If it gets any warmer.
We've and this is one of the cool things. So Rod, the guy who runs the venue, he wanted a full warts and all account of everyone's experience over the weekend, and I gave him that feedback, and that's going to happen next year. So this is one of the things that we've seen as a change from our previous venue. Not to sling mud on them, but we're seeing now active incentive to improve the venue from year to year and make it even better for the next time. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, having that relationship with the venue, or even the ability to make changes like that, I feel is like kind of paramount, right? Because you're restricted by what the venue can do, as in you, as in a TO, is restricted by what they can do based on the venue, and unless the relationship there is above the norm, or you have some sort of vested interest, you really can't. You're beholden to those restrictions. So having the ability to make those changes is just going to improve your brand and your event, as in anyone's event, period, like, in general, so much.
Without a doubt. And this is one of the things we encountered in previous years was time restrictions, having no time the night before to set up the tables and not having time in the morning to set up the tables. And so we basically had to have people set up their terrain for round one, and it was just sloppy. Yeah, and it impacts on the attendees' opinion of us as TOs, even though it's something out of our control. And I just don't want to have players go to a weekend with that experience. Like, yeah, look, the weekend was good, but I don't know, we had to set up our own table. Like, what was that all about? I don't want that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want the but, right? Anything someone says before but means nothing, because the last thing is what comes after. So, ideally, anyone that comes to the event, you want them to be like, when they ask, all they're doing is, this is great.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Although in saying that, this is part of my little TO 101, you don't have to get it right the first time. So for anyone out there who's thinking about running an event, the fact that you're putting tables out and giving people a chance to play games is more than if there were no tables and no chance. That in itself is an improvement. So don't let my perfectionism get in the way of your running your first event. I'm just a bit of a stickler. I've done it enough years now that I get a bit finicky about these sort of things with venues. If you can find a place to run some tables and you can put some people on them and roll some dice, then you're winning in my books, and we are excited to have you on board as a TO for Victoria.
It's a bit of a humble check.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, I started there myself, and even this year, or last year, there were tables of terrain out there that I have not had the chance to do anything about for a lot of years, and I felt bad putting them out there, and I know that they weren't the best tables to play on. It made up for the numbers, and that was just kind of the situation I was in. But when 3/4 of that event was furnished by my own staff, there's likely to be a couple of bad tables.
Yeah.
And
you got to do what you got to do, right? At the end of the day, what's better? What's better, getting a product over the line, at 80%, or not getting the product over the line, right? Like,
well, it's exactly what you're saying. A bad table's better than no table.
It's two more players at the tournament.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm not going to be unapologetic about it. I know that it is better to have good tables of terrain, and I didn't make as good use of my other TOs to furnish those tables as I could have this year. But as I said, it's been a tumultuous time because we've had a lot of people as tournament organisers moving out of the hobby. So it hasn't been as sort of as concrete as it has been in previous years to secure those what we call terrain pledges. We get pledges from other TOs to furnish tables.
So was that 2021, was it? You actually had a fair few TOs that sort of... I know you've said it a few times now, but I wasn't under the impression that it was actually that year. So 2021 forced people... Not forced, but whatever. People made the choice to hang up their TO boots, so to speak.
It was more over the last 3 years, and
okay.
It wasn't for any specific reason, because when you've got such a small pool of tournament organisers, it takes one person who runs 4 events to have life get in the way. That seriously cuts into the tournament or calendar. So it was just bad timing. I think there was a number of TOs that had things up in their lives that all decided that they had to realign their focus away from tournaments. And yet again, it's no sort of
that's fair
judgment on them. It's just that's life, man. And I mean, I myself have, I used to be much more active running tournaments. I'd run 3 or 4 of them a year, but I keep Geelong Heresy going. But I'm in a situation now where I've got a couple of kids, and I've got a career, and I travel for my job, and all that sort of stuff, sort of piles up. So I know what the other TOs of my generation have gone through and where they are now, and it's just life, man. It's just life.
Well, and then that's the other thing, right? Like, I mean, we've spoken on multiple podcasts, and I think this for me comes up a lot, and I think it's really important, is managing expectations. And I think attendees or tournament goers, whatever you want to call them, they need to manage their expectation and understand what it is. Not entirely, obviously, but the event is being put on for them, and yes, they're paying for it, but it's still being put on, and the effort, But then at the same time, that TOs need to manage their expectation that also that the attendee might not know that, or might not be fully aware of what goes involved, and that obviously plays a role in interactions and there's nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong in telling people, like, hey, this is the effort that went into it, or this is what's actually going down, or this is what it is, and if you don't like it, we'll deal with it. Sort of thing.
But at the end of the day, people have all, I mean, everyone's a person. You go, well, this, and this is what goes into it. But people get it.
Yeah.
And that sort of transparency is good.
For the most part, they do. There's some people who they're pretty sort of caged up in their own existence, and they don't recognise the time effort involved to put on an event that is for them. I'm not making money on these things. I'm basically just...
That's the funniest thing, yeah. I'll never understand
it's
that.
Like, I paid $50 to be here. I'm like, yeah, well, that went to the trophies and the vouchers and the venue. So
and the venue.
Yeah.
I'm not making a profit of this, mate. Like, seriously, don't think I'm...
So you just pocket that $50 and it's like, oh, no, I've got all this stuff for free. Yeah, it's just in my backyard. I just keep...
Yeah, I'm not sharking you, bro. Like, I'm seriously... sometimes I've had years where I've had to... like dip into my own pocket just to kind of get those last 2 tables built to get shit over the line. Like that's TO life, man. That's all part of it. But no, look, for the most part, they're really understanding. They know that you've made an effort to give them something, a weekend that they can enjoy. So yeah, and I think a big part of that, when we talk about setting expectations, I'm just going to jump in TO 101 again, boys.
Nice.
The player pack. The player pack is that's your saving grace. That is your Bible. That is what you put down on paper, digital or otherwise, and you send that out to the players. This is what you are in for if you register for my event. And that just kind of removes any misconceptions, any misunderstandings. You kind of, you can lay it all out, and people know what they're getting themselves into. And if they pay to go into that, then that is the game that they are playing. And for more than anything else, it gives them a chance to understand how winning and losing games impacts them. How important it is to be a good sports person versus a good player versus a good painter. How to deal with even like terrain that's not agreeable at the start of the game. All these that you just put all into the player pack. Anyone who's listening and wants a bit of an example of this, we have a link on the Geelong Heresy Facebook page. You can check out our player pack. I'm not saying it's perfect, it's not watertight, but it's a good example of a player pack that's been forged over many years and has been refined. And I would say it fulfills our event year on year.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's your unspoken contract, right? Or your terms and conditions.
Yes,
It's right there.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it helps people
It
understand.
explains.
It helps them understand what kind of event they're going to. You know, are they going to be going to something where the missions are going to be released 2 months before the event, and the lists are going to be released a month before the event?
Well, I mean, we had a similar thing with our player pack, right, Dalton, regarding the chapter approved. So we
Right,
literally had
sort
to
of-
put in ours saying, look, we don't know when chapter approved is being released. We know it's around that time. If it is by this date, it will be used. If not, then it won't.
Yes.
You know, something as simple, as clear as that, and then you just go. Someone goes, "Well, I thought this." You go, "Did you read the player pack?"
It's so critical for a TO, but also to give the players, give them a real clear understanding of what event they're going to. It's not just a piece of propaganda for your event to invite people to come along. It's a chance for you to explain to them what they can expect when they get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. It's a really important piece of material for a tournament organizer. Work on your player pack. Very, very useful.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely something we spent a bit of time on, and already you've got a bunch of stuff that we'll be updating and fiddling with for the next one as well. But yeah, and to players, make sure you read them.
Yeah.
Locky?
Yes.
Yeah,
Please read the player pack. My God, read the player pack.
I read it. I first read it when we bought the tickets. All right, fuck off. I read it, and then it was ages, and then I forgot, and then I couldn't find it again, and I was just like, so then I just kept asking the boys, I'm like, can you guys just tell me this?
Every Sunday.
They're like, did you read it? I'm like, yes, I fucking read it, but like once.
Every Sunday morning, I get 10 messages without fail. Hey, Smitty, when's round 3 start? What's going on? I'm like, you guys know. It's in the player pack. I wrote it down.
I feel like for our and every future event, I'm just going to print off timetables and just stick them everywhere, like all over the walls, on the ceiling, on the floors, put one on every single table and be like, yeah, I don't want to hear it.
It's beautiful, but look, it's part. Look, yeah, okay, it is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's kind of fun. Like I take a little personal joy, especially when it's the Sunday morning and it tells me that people have just had such a great Saturday night. Yeah, they don't really know what's happening, and they just need a little bit of help, and I'm there to get them across the line for the next day of gaming. That's Geelong Heresy life, man. That's
a win for you, right?
Yeah, it kind of speaks to the vibe of the event that I run. It's definitely how we do things.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Can attest to that.
Yeah, that was yeah. I won't speak any more of that, but that was a good night, man. It was a good night.
So we were talking before about soft scores.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
Yeah, Dalton, you had some things.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you wrote in the player pack about you can know how sportsmanship and hobby scores and stuff are weighted and things like that. Which is an interesting topic, and there was a bit of drama at Geelong Heresy about some of the soft scores involved and that sort of thing.
Yes.
But not really going to go into that too much here. But it's an interesting question because it's apparently, and as I was aware, apparently this is a somewhat unique thing that's not a worldwide sort of 40k event thing. It's more of an Australian one.
So Smithy, can you clarify what a soft score is for us, or for the listeners who may not necessarily know what we mean by soft score?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a number of soft scores, and one of the ones that we did away with very early was composition, particularly peer comp. That was a way for your opponent to judge the severity of your army based on your list. Which for me, being the judge by the person who is going to get their face smashed by your army is just I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no idea how that's meant to work.
Who thought of that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But when I started running events, peer comp was a thing, and I'm just like, who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah.
Anyway, smiled and nodded. Move along. So okay, sports score is a very valuable soft score. Now you guys are gonna butt heads with me on this one because I'm a soft score advocate and I'm a soft score aficionado. I love soft scores, but I run casual events, so take that for how it is. Sportsmanship, once upon a time, and hopefully you guys will. I'll redeem myself in your eyes by explaining this. Hopefully, once upon a time, sports score was it was a score out of 5, and you would judge your opponent on how nice a person they were to play against. This was fundamental. This was in every tournament in Victoria once upon a time. And it basically meant that people had to toe the line, behave themselves, have some degree of decorum and conduct, and not try and kite and cheat and win the game that way. So, at face value, great system. But if you happen to be doing really well against a fella and you're enjoying your successful dice rolls and enjoying watching his models get removed, and then he's able to give you a score out of 5 on how much he enjoyed playing against you. If he's a salty loser, he might just give you a bad score.
Right. Yeah.
And it's numerical, and there's no way to judge it, and it is just cut and dry. You got a 2 out of 5 against his opponent. Well, I don't know. Were you a bad person, or did he think you were a bad person? You know.
And depending on how that's weighted at the tournament, that could tank your score.
It could take you off a podium. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because often these sports scores were involved in your podium position.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that we pioneered at Heresy was category sports.
And this was the system that we used last year.
Yes. So I'm happy for you guys to put in your sort of 2 cents on how that works and how you felt it went.
Essentially, just a checklist of things that that you made sure that each player did, and it was like they were polite, they played well, they didn't cheat, they didn't mess about with any poor sportsmanship practices. And instead of being a rating score that you could sort of fiddle with and give with entire opacity, it was just, all right, did they do this, yes or no? And you go, well, if you put something in there that they, as long as they weren't actively cheating and they weren't actively being nasty the whole game, you're fine.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we were pretty specific with the way that it was worded. But yeah, basically each category was something on the lines of, they were open and willing to discuss rules disputes, and they were clear in their dice rolling and how they dealt with cocked dice.
Clear in intent too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, clear in intent.
Yeah,
I remember that being.
And their measurements were accurate, and so a lot of the change we made to sportsmanship was that we kind of made the sports voter accountable for the scores they made. You couldn't just snipe someone and give them a 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
You now had to pick 3 things that they did badly.
Yeah.
And we could.
And I think also, sorry, keep going.
I was going to say, so we could then, as a TO, look at how that then was reflected in the other games. So I'm giving you guys a peer through the looking glass here, but it gave us a way to differentiate the snipes from the genuine sportsmanship issues.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've got one guy over 5 games who keeps doing the same thing on 5 different opponents, well, he's probably actually doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And may I say, it actually gave us the opportunity to help some tournament players who weren't aware of their own bad habits.
That's good.
Just
Hmm.
as
That's a positive
as an
thing.
added bonus,
Yeah,
because of the
yeah.
way we categorized the sports scoring, we had people who were doing the same bad thing every game they went to, and we had the chance to, at the end of the tournament, go, look, apologies for your sports score, but just so you understand how you got it, this was the one thing that every player picked you up on, something you can improve on for the next year. And they came back the next year and they got a perfect score.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the ultimate, right? Like, if you're helping people improve at the event as well, it's like double positive.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So I mean, again, I know you guys have your opinions on soft scores, but in a way, they give us an opportunity to monitor and help to improve the caliber of tournament players, and ensure that everyone is
Yes.
playing to a standard that means that you can, as a paying tournament attendee, you can go to that event and know you're going to have 5 great games.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, sportsmanship in particular, as a concept, I definitely don't dislike it. It's you want to make sure that everyone's participating well and making sure that everyone can enjoy the game. And I think that and it's worth clarifying as well. Soft scores that we're talking about specifically relate to when these scores are used to determine the overall placings for like actual placings,
Just
and
outcome.
outcome of the tournament. A separate sportsmanship, painting scores, all kind of stuff, or awards and things. Fantastic, love them. Go for your life. And so the issue with soft scores becomes, well, when does that take away from what you're trying to measure with the tournament? And I don't think it's an issue for casual tournaments. As you mentioned, you're running casual events, so it's sort of it's almost more important that your players or it's better to measure that your players are good players, as in good sports, than it is necessarily to measure how good they are as players.
Well, I would argue, even for competitive events, I think that I don't want to see someone podium because they were giving every other player they played against a bad time. I don't think that plays into the tournament spirit. Okay, you win all your games. Good on you. High fives all round. But how did you go about doing that? And did you do so in a way that left everyone with a bad taste in their mouth? Does that mean should you technically win the tournament?
Right, I suppose that's where that separation between best overall.
This is the big juicy question. So,
but there's also there's amalgamation here at the moment, because you're talking like ultimately you're talking about culture crafting, and like how the culture of the event / tournament / brand / whatever is cultivated via the people that attend it, and then how do you monitor and adjudicate that without monitoring and adjudicating it, right? So
I mean, I suppose it comes down to more of a method thing. So you go, well, you need to do something about it. You can't just have people, as you're saying, showing up and being dicks the whole event.
Yeah, and
because that's going to turn people away.
Yeah, and I've I don't feel that I need to babysit my attendees, but I mean you.
Well, you shouldn't.
Well,
I should. Right? That's on the opposite side.
I shouldn't have to, but even last year, as you guys are aware, we had situations unfold where people were going against the spirit of the tournament, even with all of the measures I put in place. So, for a category sports system to, at 99% of tables, just be a tick every box, you were a great opponent, thank you for the game. It's not a detriment or impact to the overall scoring system unless there's a reason for it to be. And this is where category sports is different to point sports, where you could just...
I think that the system you had last year, it was like, looking at it, when I first looked at it, I was like, I don't understand this, because I'm like, how would you ever not? And maybe because I don't think I've ever experienced what some of the things that you're talking about, Smithy, and some of the experiences I've heard other people talking about, the people that have played against in the
Yep.
past, or just whenever. But I just look at it going, how, for me, it's just a little bit unfathomable. Like, I can't understand how anyone would be a bad sport sort of thing in this kind of game. But after we've had conversations about it, and even after now as well, I go, the stat system that you got in place makes perfect sense. And sport scores, I think, are a must, even if it's purely only for managing the culture you're trying to curate at your event or at whatever, even at your store or whatever it is you're trying to do. You're trying to build a culture of whatever it is that you want, and like, yours is very clear: casual, beers, like that's the goalposts are very, very clear. So working around that makes that come across very clear as well, and I think that's super important as well with all of it as well. And like, sometimes you just, in anything, people kind of faff around in terms of what is the main goal of whatever it is that they're doing, and soft scores for me, I think, have a place if there is a purpose for them and what that purpose is. So in this situation, the sports score has a very specific designed purpose, and it's also kind of like a contingency and a balance check as well in other ways for you guys as TOs, and that's, to me, just is a great design system. It's got layers of uses, where in other soft scores you're just like, well, is this just being lazy, or like, what's the purpose here?
And I liked the way that you had the sportsmanship score set up. As you're saying, it does, like, well, the closest that you can do to prevent score sniping and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not easy to give someone a 1 out of 5 when every other person is just is put it on the same sports sheet. Yeah, they played fair.
Yeah.
They maybe I am not going to call them my best opponent of all time. That's what the sports voting is for. That's a different sheet altogether. So voting for your favorite opponent over the weekend.
But that was also an entirely
It's a completely different category.
Separate category, and that wasn't tied up with the main tournament.
Exactly. So just by being a decent person at the table, you were eligible for the podium, and that was the mentality behind our category sports system, and it's worked well for us for it's been at least 6 years now. We've run that one.
Yeah.
I like that, what you just said there, that it's more of it's like an eligibility check.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about, like, let's talk about tennis. Some of the pro players and the way they behave on the court.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that at my 40K tables. Thank you very much.
Nah. Yeah, agreed. And again, what's the brand that you're trying to evoke, or what's the culture you're trying to create, and this is just for anyone who's doing those things. And I think that needs to be looked at, and then, especially, I don't doubt that we might have these challenges through our future events because of the amount of events that we want to run. But I think coming back to that question is very, very clear. Like, are we doing things that are affecting the brand, how we want the brand to go, or the event, or whatever? And is this a problem because of the person, or is this a problem do we not have the necessary infrastructure in place to contain it, manage it, move it, eradicate it, whatever? And those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves.
Well, I think the biggest question you've got to ask yourself, boys, is, is it more important for that guy to walk away with a $100 voucher, or for the other 40 people to walk away knowing they want to come back next year?
Yeah. Well, it's a no-brainer.
I don't need to answer that question for you.
No, it is rhetorical.
It is rhetorical. But look, as far as other soft scores are concerned, and this is one of the things that, yet again, I'm not going to tell other tournaments how to do their scoring. This is completely unique to Geelong Heresy, but we actually have 2 separate podiums. And that's pretty unusual for, at least it was when we started doing this. This was from the very inception, 12 years ago, where we'd have 3 placings for generalship, and we'd have 3 placings for painted.
Yeah.
And where you landed in generalship had nothing to do with how good your army looked, and vice versa. So we're kind of running 2 events at the same time.
Yeah. I think Lockie and I had a quite a big discussion about this off mic before recording a while ago, and we really liked that idea of having them as separate scores, but still going like, well, you'd need to have both at the event because the hobby is more than just rolling dice and playing the game.
Without a doubt. I've been a hobbyist first and foremost. I love painting. So aside from the TO stuff I do, I've also I've judged painting competitions. I've run painting workshops. I even ran a painting workshop at CanCon at one point, and the hobby aspect of it is big for me. I love seeing beautiful armies on the tabletop. That's one of the best things about going to a tournament. You get to see these amazing armies you've never seen before from people all over the country. They bring these wonderful painted forces, and you get to experience that as part of playing games against them. It's the whole hobby experience. That's what a tournament's all about.
Yeah.
The whole hobby experience.
There's nothing better than watching, even if it's yours and someone else is just standing and watching two like awesome painted armies on an awesome board of terrain. It's like it's
and then
so cool.
The people playing having a good time, you're having a good time.
Oh.
It's
the whole package, right?
It's what we live for, guys. This is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So I've always wanted to ensure that people who, because you can invest time in learning how to play the game. You can check out some net lists. You can do mash around the rules a bit, get some practice games in, and you can podium at a tournament. Not to underplay the gaming side of things, boys. Don't let me get that sort of out from under you. But the time it takes to put a painted army together that's going to win a painting award at a tournament is a huge investment of time learning the skill and then investing it into that particular army. It's huge, man. You need to reward that. You need to celebrate that. And so
I think the one that won the painting competition at Geelong Heresy, that was the Imperial Guard that were converted up. All the Ogrins and the Baneblade that were converted up, all done with camo netting.
So it was my friend Gib. Miniatures printed by Adrah Labs.
Nice
cheeky plug.
Gotta do it, bro.
I can't help but mention that. That was just serendipitous that he reached out to me to get those models printed, and then he I didn't paint them. I'm not going to bloody lay claim to that, but he put such a great job on them. It was
they looked absolutely phenomenal.
Undisputed.
And the amount of effort, by far, and the amount of effort, time, and love that went into that, and you could tell by looking at it just how much time they put into it. They built the display board to go with it.
Oh, that just gorgeous.
It was, and you go that's such an incredible display of enjoyment and effort and skill and talent that's gone into that.
Yeah, and this is where
and you've got to
you've got to celebrate that. And this is okay. Run a tournament. Give people prizes for winning games. That's cool. That's not a problem. And I think that's probably the fundamental for any tournament. But
the bare minimum.
Bare minimum. It's the bare bones. But in my personal opinion, if you can stretch your tournament funds to across enough vouchers to be truly sort of holistic in your celebration of the hobby, give the best presented army as much of an award as the best general. And that's what we've done every year since we started Geelong Heresy.
I like that too.
Yeah, I like it quite a lot.
Because that's the other massive incentive that you want to get people to have. What's better? Half the army's really well painted and half the army's barely painted at all, or everyone 80% well painted.
Yeah, people bring in that effort.
Yeah, having people feel inspired / driven to actually finish their armies, not just because I have to do it because it's a minimum requirement. I want to do it because I want my army to look baller and get recognition or be considered or whatever. I think that's it's a good way to further involve that side of the hobby,
without a doubt,
which makes the whole event look better.
Yeah,
right?
makes us look great, and this is, I mean, also why we encourage people to bring. We always have. We are the first to bring flyers, first to bring super heavies, first to bring Forge World. Bring the cool things. I want to see cool things on the battlefield. I want to see
not just the meta crazy
yeah,
thing.
I want to see Death Corps the Krieg. I want to see Titans. I want to see big Tyrannid, Horridules, etc. Like I want the cool stuff on the battlefield, man. And and we've given I guess we've sort of blessed ourselves with creating a format that encourages that. And I mean, I'll let yet again you guys can speak on behalf of the weekend, but the cool factor of what people brought for the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we in the drive home, right? Literally half the drive home, we were talking about what are we going to bring next year, and purely like what's going to be the cool thing, and we were like, it's like this that. I was like, no, but that's not cool enough. Like it's not diverse and weird, and that was literally what we were talking about for like 40 minutes.
That's beautiful. That warms my heart with joy. And I think that that's the spirit of Geelong Heresy, boys. This is what it's all about. It's a hobby experience. I mean, you can bring filth. You can top table. That's not a problem. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But where's the fun?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the clearest things from I mean, look, I haven't been to a lot of the other ones so far, but we will definitely be going. Is you have a very clear culture and idea about what your event is, and that I got to take my hat off to you, because that is usually one of the hardest things in any brand, in anything. And when you nail it, that's why you've been so successful and been going for so long or whatever, because it's very, very easy and clear, and you know what's going on. And that is what enables you to succeed in the way that you have, and it makes us everything that you want your players to feel. Well, we felt the first time we were there randomly, and all the things that you wanted us to take away from it, we've taken away from it, because it's been your goals have been very clear as a TO and as the event, which is great.
No, come on, boys, you're gonna get me all teared up over here. Maybe this is I'm gonna switch back to TO 101. I've got another little snippet for any willing new TOs, aspiring TOs out there. Go to some events and get an understanding of what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, and don't run an event for what you think people want. Run an event for what you want, and you're going to do a much better job running an event that you would enjoy going to than you would trying to run an event that you think everyone else would enjoy going to.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's it. I mean, and it's so when I did take some time off, just for a quick aside, boys, there was a wee bit of backlash, and it was me going to other events and just kind of having to deal with the constant questions. Smitty, when are you going to jump back? And we want you to run Heresy again, and we need because I made the event something that was so specific to me and something that was so inherent in what I love in a tournament, it sort of became inseparable to myself. And I feel that in a way kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It clarified within me the partnership between myself as the organizer and the event that I had given creation to in the first place. That we're kind of one and the same.
Well, I think that's what I was going to say. That the impression I got from being there was that Smithy is Geelong Heresy.
Yeah.
Like that you and the event are synonymous with each other. Like it just
It's
is.
yeah, and I wrestled with that for a while, but I've since made peace with it. I think that if I was to stop running events, then I don't think Geelong Heresy would have a future. And I don't say that with any kind of arrogance. I just feel that what Geelong Heresy is, and this maybe this speaks true to any good tournament. It should resonate in what the dreams and aspirations of the organizer are. And that they are
Well, they're gonna be passionate
yeah,
about it,
they're
right?
entwined. They're one and the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned that the hard way. By trying to take a hiatus from it myself. But yeah, I mean it's part of my love for the community. The being part of the 40k community is just so amazing. I've made so many good friends through this hobby, and anyone who takes that leap of faith into running an event is going to find themselves on the same roller coaster. It's a good roller coaster to be on, let me just say.
Well, I love roller coasters, so I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
well, you're already there, mate. You're already there. But yeah, look, I'm hoping that you know, if we can encourage anyone out there to put on their big TO pants, get out there, try and run an event, make use of the rest of us out there. We can help you on that journey. It's just it's going to help the community at large. I think the Victorian tournament community is going to really benefit from some new blood out there. I'm really excited to see what the next couple of years brings. We've got ourselves a sort of a new wave, yourselves included, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see what other people do with this hobby. You know, I mean,
I want there to be 52 tournaments a year within Australia.
Oh yeah, that used to be the case.
That's the goal. One a week.
Dude, once upon a time that was the case. There was a good mate of mine, Ryland Davies, if he's listening out there, the Welsh Rarebit, is 40k royalty. This boy, he went to 46 events in a year, if I remember correctly.
Shit.
Across the country.
Wow.
The man was phenomenal. He's settled in with wife and kidless now. But shout out to Ryland if you're listening, mate. You mad dog. Yeah, there's
That's legendary.
There is a possibility we can be there again. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. There's enough players out there.
We'll make it happen.
Exactly. Hey, anyone listening, if you enjoy playing the game, then bring some of that enjoyment to the people around you who make your community. That's all I've got to say. Just get involved, get in touch with us. We'll help you get there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect send-off, mate.
So, well, as people who've attended Geelong Heresy and looking forward to the next one, thank you so much for you running that one. It's an incredible event. And thanks for all the help you're offering to us with running ours and to everyone else. And absolutely, the more people that get involved, the better.
Yeah, it's it's as much for my own, it's my selfish benefit as anyone else's, because I love going to tournaments. If you guys can run some tournaments, I'll go to them. I'll tell you. Look forward to seeing my hairy face there soon. All right.
100% awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. If you've been listening, make sure to check out Geelong Heresy. I presume you can go on there. We'll have the link in the description. I presume
come this year.
Sign-ups will be up there for this year when that comes out. So you can be all over that.
Probably sometime in August. We don't sign up too early. We like to make people stress a little bit. It's more fun that way. So so keep an eye out for it second 100%. Half of the year. But get onto Geelong Heresy at Facebook. And you'll get all the details as we start to post towards the second half of next year, or this year, I should say.
Yeah,
And we'll all be there.
Yeah,
Yep,
boy.
we'll be there. We've
Oh,
got some
yeah.
plans. It's going to be good.
Oh, we got some. We'll be bringing a bigger crew as well this time. So,
Oh boy,
yeah.
look, I'm keen to enjoy a couple of cold refreshments with you lads.
Yeah.
Be
It's gonna
be
good
very
fun.
much appreciated. It was an absolute pleasure having you boys there last year.
Yeah, sick.
Cheers. Yeah. So yeah, make sure to check out Adrah Labs as well. I can attest. I'm looking at them right. And I can test the quality of the prints on those. They're fantastic.
Well,
They'll
I've
be-
still got the Tinder date, and that's
Oh,
really
yeah.
important too.
Oh man, we'll have to do another the catch up about mission design as well, because I don't know if there's
Yeah, we should.
there's something to be said for casual 40k missions. You can really kind of go nuts.
All the missions were great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of the games were the interesting missions. Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, check out Adrah Labs and check out Warmaster. But as you also mentioned, you do print on demand.
yeah. So look, if you've got the files, we can print them on your behalf. So if you want to be the next guy bringing the Death Corps of Krieg Ogrins to win the next Best Painting Award, then reach out. We'll help you out.
Yeah.
Sounds
Easy.
good.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. Check out all of those. Make sure to check out check out the Risky Rollers Facebook pages where we do all of our event sign-ups and organising. So we've got 40k is the way later this month, as well as 2 more planned for later in the year.
Yes.
Which
will all be different as well. So it's not
Yes.
the same thing over and over. All 3 of the events are potentially planned to be different.
Yep. So we'll be talking more about those very soon, and once we've had this one happen and we've refined that a bit more. Check out the Discord, the Patreon, all that kind of stuff. Check out Dice Arcade for the rest of your hobby needs. But and otherwise, yeah, happy New Year and enjoy 2022. Lots of wargaming happening.
Enjoy the latest bat rep that's just come out.
Yes, of course, that's today as well, which is Blood Angels and Tyranids.
Oh yeah, it's a saucy one.
That was a good game, yeah.
Yeah.
So check that one out if you haven't already.
I'll be watching it.
And,
I'll be watching it.
Do it.
Yeah, cheers.
Like, share, subscribe. You know the whole deal, kiddos.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.